Okay, yesterday we were talking about definitions. Okay, now today we're actually going to get into probability. Okay, probability is a measure of the likelihood, okay, that a specific event will occur. Okay, probabilities have values between 0 and 1. Okay, so most of the time your probability answers are going to be a fraction or a decimal. Okay, when an event is impossible, your probability is 0. Okay, because it can never happen. Okay, if your event is certain, meaning that it will happen all the time, you have a probability of 1. Okay, 0 means it'll never happen, 1 means it will always happen, and then you could get some decimals in between for when it sometimes happens. Okay, finding probability. Okay, when all outcomes are equally likely, the probability of event, which is written as P event, is the ratio of number of favorable outcomes to the total number of outcomes. Okay? So our formula here is number of favorable outcomes on the top, and then on the bottom of your fraction is the number of total possible outcomes. Okay? To make it a little simpler, the top is what you want. Okay, so the number of things you want, and then the bottom is the total of everything there is in your problem. Okay? So what you want goes on top, the total always goes on the bottom. Okay, like I said a little bit earlier, probabilities could be written as fractions, decimals, or percents. Okay, for the problems for today, we're going to write all three ways. Okay. First problem. Okay. Spinner below is spun one time. We had this problem yesterday, I think. Okay, it's the spinner again. We have numbers 1 through 10 on it. Okay, what I like to do when I'm working with probability is just to get the total amount of things right off the bat, because I know that for these problems I need the total for every single problem. Okay, so if you count all the numbers there, you see that your total outcomes is equal to 10. Okay, there's 10 numbers you can get. Okay, so I look at the first problem is I want the probability, okay, probability of an odd number. Okay, so like I said before, total is going to be used always, and that's always going to be your bottom. Okay, so I have 10 total numbers, and now I got to count the odd numbers. Okay, I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 odd numbers. Okay, and that is what I want, so that goes on the top. Okay, after I got my fraction, I want to try to simplify if I can. So 5/10 simplifies down to 1/2. Okay, and then like I said in our directions on the top here, I want the fraction lowest in simplest form, I want a decimal, and I want a percent. Okay, so 1/2 as a decimal is 0.5, and then as a percent is 50%. Okay, remember, if you are changing your fraction to a decimal, you do numerator divided by denominator. That's how I got 0.5. And then to get your percent, you move your decimal over 2 spots to the right, and you get your percent of 50%. Okay, that should be reviewed from earlier this year. Okay, next one here is multiples of 4. Okay, a multiple is an answer to a multiplication problem. So 4 times 1 equals 4. Okay, So if I look at my next one, I'll change the color so it's easier to see. So I want multiples of 4, so I do 4 times 1. The answer is 4, so that means 4 is one of my multiples. 4 times 2, the answer is 8. That's another one of my multiples. 4 times 3 is 12, which is not on our spinner, so we could stop there with only 2 choices. Okay, since I only have 2 things I want, that's my numerator. 2 over, what's my total? It stays the same as 10. Okay, simplify your answer, so it becomes 1/5. 1/5 as a decimal. Remember, you do 1 divided by 5 on your calculator if you forget what this is, and you get 0.2. Okay, and then change that into percent, and you get 20%. And we keep on going. Okay, next problem here is the probability of a prime number. Okay, change the color again. Okay, our total is 10. I can write that down right away since I know my total is. Next, now I want to count all my prime numbers. Remember, prime is a number that can only be divided by itself and 1. So that means it can only be divided by 2 numbers, itself and 1. Okay, a number that people always forget that is primed is 2. 2 is a prime number. Okay, 3 is a prime number. 5 is a prime number. 7 is a prime number. And that's all we have for our prime numbers. Okay, 1 is not a prime number because 1 could only be divided by 1. So it only has one number you can use for that. Okay, to be a prime number, you need to be able to divide it by 2 different numbers. Okay, so we only have 4 choices, 4 things we want, so that's our numerator. 4 over 10 is our fraction. Simplify. You get 2 over 5. Okay, the decimal for 2 over 5, remember, do 2 divided by 5, you get 0.4. Change it to a percent and you get 40%. Okay, pretty simple. Okay, the last 2 here is going to be a little bit more complicated. Okay, whenever you have an OR statement, okay, you want to think of it as 2 different problems. Okay, so I want to look for my even numbers. I want to look for my even numbers first. So I'm going to write it down so I don't get confused. So I have 2, 4, 6, 8, and 10. Those are my even numbers. Okay, now I want to write the numbers that are greater than 5. Okay, so greater than 5, I'll have 6, 7, 8, 9, and 10. Okay, after I have both of my choices written out, okay, I want to cross out one of the duplicates. So if you see here, 6 pops up twice, okay, you don't count both of them. You only count one of them. So I'm just going to cross out this 6 here because I don't need it. Okay, another duplicate here is 8. Okay, once again, I don't need 2 8s. I only need one of the 8s. So I cross out this second one on the top here. Okay, my last duplicate is a 10. And like I keep on saying, you only need one of each number. So I'll cross out the 10. Okay, now you just count everything that's left over. Okay, I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 possible choices. Okay, I have 7 things I want. So it becomes 7 over the total of 10 total numbers. Okay, you change that into a decimal, which is 0.7. Change that into a percent, which is 70%. Okay, whenever you have an OR statement, don't forget you should list out these numbers and then cross out any doubles. Okay, you only want one of each number. You're only counting each number once. Okay, so if you have a double, cross one of them out. Okay, and then lastly here we have and. And means it has to be both of those things. So the numbers you pick have to be odd and have to be less than 4. Okay? So what I usually do is I'll look at the first thing which is odd. So I'll list all my odd numbers. Okay, so it's 1, 3, 5, 7, and 9. Okay, and then I look at my next thing, which in this case it says less than 4. Okay, so I want to just cross out anything that's not less than 4. Okay, so 5 is not less than 4, 7 is not less than 4, and 9 is not less than 4. Okay, and that only leaves me with 2 choices left, 1 and 3. Okay, and you see that it satisfies what it's asking for. Okay, 1 is odd and it's less than 4. 3 is odd and it's less than 4. Okay, the and means it has to be both of those things at the same time. Okay, once I have my choices, I have 2 things that I want over the total of 10. Get my decimal, or actually simplify first, becomes 1/5. Get my decimal of 0.2, and then my percent of 20%. Okay, and that's it. It's not that difficult. Okay, if you have any trouble with the ors and the ands, please let me know, because those are going to be the hardest ones. Okay, remember, or is 2 separate things, and you have to be both of those things together. Okay, if you have any questions, email me